All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're talking about something called PeerCollab. And it's a whole new way of looking at student assessment. The idea here is to really empower students and totally shake up the learning process from the very beginning.
So let me ask you something. Is assessment really just about grades? I mean, it seems like a simple question, right? But the answer? That could change everything about education. For so long, it's all been about that final score, that letter grade. But what if we've been missing the bigger picture? What if assessment itself could be the most powerful learning tool we've got?
And that brings us to the first huge idea here. We need to completely rethink what assessment is. We're talking about moving away from a system that's all about judgment and shifting to one that's actually about helping students grow. Okay, so inside this PeerCollab framework, this definition is everything. Think about it this way. Assessment isn't the finish line. Nope. It's the engine that powers the car. It's this ongoing process of figuring out, okay, where is this student right now? And even more importantly, where can they go from here?
So what's really cool is how this actually plays out. When you make the rules of the game, the learning criteria, totally transparent, you pull students right into the process. Suddenly, they're not just waiting for a grade to be handed to them. They're active players in their own education, They're sharing the responsibility for their own success.
All right, so let's dig into the core methodology behind PeerCollab, because this is where it all comes together. It's all built around something called the formative approach, and its whole purpose is to turn assessment from a passive thing into a really dynamic, active experience.
So what is formative assessment? Well, it's basically the exact opposite of a big, scary final exam. It's not a one-shot deal. A better way to think of it is like a sports coach giving you tips during practice, not a judge holding up a scorecard after the game is over. It's all about that constant loop. Get some feedback, make an adjustment, try again. And this happens all the way through the learning journey.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's a two-way street. It's not just about learning from the feedback you get. Students also learn a ton by actually looking at a classmate's work and judging it against clear standards. It forces them to really get inside the concept of what good looks like, and that fires up a much deeper level of critical thinking.
Okay, take a look at this. This really helps put it all into perspective. You've got your diagnostic assessment way at the beginning, right? That's just to see what students already know. Then you've got the summative at the very end. That's the final grade. PeerCollab, it lives right in that sweet spot in the middle, in the formative space. And that space is all about the process of learning, not just the final result.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the what and the why. Now it's time to get practical. Let's talk about the how. We're going to look at the peer assessment cycle, which is basically the hands-on framework that makes all this theory actually work in a real classroom.
And this is probably the question on your mind, right? Like, this sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work in a real classroom? Well, the good news is PeerCollab has a really clear, structured process for this.
So looking at this diagram again, I want you to notice something crucial. See how it's a circle? This isn't a straight line with a beginning and an end. It's a continuous loop of reviewing, giving feedback, and then improving. A cycle you can repeat again and again to make the learning stick.
So let's break this cycle down into its parts. Step 1, you have to have super clear criteria. Everyone has to be on the same page about what good looks like. Then you move into the guided peer review and feedback. This is where students are really engaging with each other's work. And the really important part is what comes next, reflection and revision. That's where the magic happens, where the learning really gets cemented. And the whole time the lecturer is there, but more as a guide, a facilitator, not just a person with a red pen.
And look, this whole structure, it's not just there for fun. It's what makes the entire process work. It creates a system that's reliable, that's transparent, and that has real pedagogical value. I mean, real educational value. It makes sure things are fair and keeps everyone's eyes on the prize, which is learning.
All right, so we've seen the model, we've seen the framework. Now for the exciting part. Let's talk about how you can actually put this into action, how you can get involved and bring this amazing approach to your students. So if anything we've talked about today has sparked something for you, if you're thinking, yeah, I'm ready to focus more on growth and less on grades, then listen up, because there are concrete things you can do, like right now. And the best part is they've made it super accessible. There's a handbook that walks you through every single step. There are ready-to-use templates so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can literally start putting this structured cycle into place in your own classroom. All the tools you need to succeed are right there waiting for you. So let's end with this one thought.
What we're talking about here, it's so much bigger than just one classroom or one new teaching trick. This is about a collective effort to make teaching better and to help students truly succeed. And it leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? If we totally change how we measure learning, could we change the very meaning of what it is to learn?